Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive. Today we're jumping into the world of karate, specifically a move you might have heard of, Hangetsu.
It's more than just a move, actually. It's a kata. We're going to unpack its history, the techniques, the whole shebang. And lucky for us, we've got a real expert here to break it all down.
Happy to be here.
So, our research mentions Hangetsu being called an advanced kata, at least in Shotokan karate. I gotta ask, for anyone listening who's not a black belt, what makes a kata advanced? What makes Hangetsu stand out from the crowd?
Okay, so first off, picture kata as like a choreographed fight, yeah. But you're fighting an imaginary opponent. It's all about practicing movements and techniques.
Right, like shadowboxing, but with more form.
Exactly. Now, advanced kata. Think more intricate moves, a deeper understanding of how to generate power.
We saw something about hara in the material.
Ah, yes. Hara. It's your core, your center. It's not just about arm strength, it's about generating power from deep within. Advanced kata, like Hangetsu, they really emphasize cultivating and using your hara.
So there's like a philosophical aspect to it too. That's cool. But getting back to Hangetsu itself, we also saw that in some styles it's called seisan. Does that little tidbit tell us anything?
It does. Lineage is huge in martial arts. Kata get passed down, sometimes renamed, sometimes tweaked a bit. The fact that we see this kata, whether you call it Hangetsu or seisan, in both Okinawan and Japanese styles.
It's hinting at some history there.
Exactly. It could link back to some really old school karate.
Yeah.
We're talking about tracing roots back centuries.
Wow, okay, so we're really going deep here. And speaking of history, we came across some names in the research. Matsumura, Higaonna, Funakoshi. Ring any bells?
Oh yeah, those are some heavy hitters in the karate world. Each of those names represents a different branch of karate. Goju Ryu, Shito Ryu, Shotokan.
And wasn't there a Wado Ryu in there somewhere?
Yeah, got it. They all have a connection to this kata, whether we're calling it Hangetsu or Seisan. And this is important. Different styles, they're not totally separate. There's overlap, influence. Think of it like different schools of thought within the bigger world of karate.
Like different interpretations of the same idea.
Precisely.
Now, one thing that stood out in the research, Funakoshi, the guy who founded Shotokan karate, he's the one who renamed it to Hangetsu, right? And he even made some changes to it. So even the masters are allowed to put their own spin on things.
Absolutely. That's how styles evolve. Masters refine techniques. Maybe they emphasize certain aspects more. Sometimes the changes are super subtle, just little tweaks to make it more effective or to fit their own philosophy.
So it's always evolving. That makes sense. Now, we've got a video of Hangetsu in action, but even without looking at it, based on what we've read, any guesses on what kind of techniques we might see?
Well, even though the specifics change between styles, Hangetsu or Seisan if you prefer, often has these strong, grounded movements. It's very much about close quarters combat.
Up close and personal.
Yeah. The research even mentioned holding the opponent, attacking vital points. This isn't just about keeping your distance and throwing kicks. It's about really controlling the fight.
More about practical self-defense than flashy moves.
You got it. And it gets more interesting. It also mentioned a lot of direction changes, emphasis on fighting in a small space. Makes you think there might be throws, joint locks, maybe even some grappling involved.
So stuff you'd see in older fighting styles. Wow, it's amazing how much depth there is to this one kata. I mean, who knew a single stance could have such a rich history? So for all you listeners out there, here's something to think about when you see Hangetsu in action. Knowing what we know now, what details are you going to pay attention to? It's like having a whole new level of understanding, right?
You got it.
Well, this has been fantastic. A huge thank you to our expert for walking us through this. And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.